All right, you have your test on your desk. We're going to go over it. The grades are posted over on the side. At a time of my choosing, you'll be able to go and look at it. But not right this minute, because that's not a time of my choosing, is not right this minute. The first question. This was our question. When subtracting decimals, Hunter, what do you have to do?
Subtract.
Okay, the first step. Yeah, that's funny because he doesn't know how to do it. It's awesome. Ivan, first step. You have to line up the decimals. Do you think it's funny that you don't know how to subtract decimals? What's my next step, Bethany? Good. Add my magic 0. Add my magic 0. I don't care whether you think that's important or not, it is. Because some problems, when you don't add it, you're going to get it wrong. I'm just going to bring down the number, and that's where you get it wrong. Okay, in this case, it's not going to change anything. 7 subtract 0 is what, Lainey?
7.
Oh, 7. Good. 0 subtract 5, Lainey. Can't do that, so what do I have to do?
Got to borrow from 3.
Okay, so I'm going to take 10 ones. 10 1, make that, or 1 from there, which equals 10 tenths. And make them here, add them to this, the tenths. 10 minus 5 is what, Lainey?
5.
4 minus 8, Lainey.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. This is a 5. 14 minus 8, Lainey. 6, good. 5 minus 7, Lainey. Can't do that. 15 minus 7, Lainey. And you have it on your paper, right?
8.
8. And 2 minus 1 is 1. Decimal point comes straight down. Now, when you bubbled this in on your sheet, it matters where you bubble it. Your sheet had a decimal point in it, which means in front of the decimal point you had to put your 186 and bubble in 186 below. You had to put your 57 after the decimal point and bubble your 57 below. Some of you don't follow directions, and that is why you got it wrong. Getting it wrong takes away points. That makes me sad. As long as you bubbled it, right? Now, many are concerned about their grade, and they ask me, what can I do? My grade is low. But then they don't do simple things like bubble correctly. Now, you don't like your grade? You have 2 options up here to raise it. 2. So when mommy and daddy email me or call me, my baby has a bad grade. Those are your 2 options. So they better not call me because you've been told. Ivan. No, it went to one of last week's assignment. The next problem. Number 2. 312 tenths. Subtract 276 and 8 tenths. Let's do a little estimating before we solve this. If you had 300 and you subtract 276, Fred, what should your answer be around?
It should be around 20.
Okay, around 20, 25, somewhere in that range. If we estimate before we solve, 300 subtract 276 is going to give you an answer somewhere 20, 25 in that range. If you got an answer that's nowhere near 20 or 25, you've done something wrong, which is a good habit to get into. I should have told you earlier in the year that estimating, wait, I did! That estimating is important. And again, we write them down, lining up the decimal points. Write them down, lining up the decimal points. Add our magic 0. Subtract, we know our decimal point comes straight down. Make sure our place values are lined up. That's why they give you graph paper on the STAR test. One of the reasons. So you line up your decimal points. Line up your place values. Let's go with Isaac. 2 subtract 0.
2.
1 subtract 8.
You can't do that.
Can't do that. Can't borrow, there's a 0. Can't borrow, there's a 0. So this becomes a 2. This is a 9. This is a 9. And this becomes an 11. 11 subtract 8.
3.
3. The decimal point straight down. 9 subtract 6.
3.
3. 9 subtract 7.
2.
And 2 subtract 2 is nothing. Is my answer reasonable, Isaac?
Yes.
Yes, it's in my 20 to 25 range. It's in my 20 to 25 range, so that looks fine. Looks good. It's all good. It is. I promise. Making sure when we bubbled, these two numbers had to go directly in front of the decimal point. These had to go directly behind. Yes, ma'am.
If you have like a number like already there that's not a 0 and you add 10, doesn't it like stay 10?
No, because I had to borrow. If I made this 10, and this, and then I still can't subtract here, because this is still 0. So then I'd have to borrow and make this 10. Okay? And I still can't subtract 1 minus 8, so I'm going to have to borrow from this 10 and make it a 9, and then bring it over here.
Oh, because the number's already, because the one's already there.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I did.
The next problem, 3, is 27 and 5/10 times 3 and 6/10. Jocelyn, do I have to line up the decimal points when I multiply? No. Good. No, you don't. In fact, when I multiply this, I'm not even going to write down the decimal points. I'm going to look at the decimal points at the end when I'm done. So if I have 27 and 5/10, I'm going to make that 275 times 36. Now let's look at our estimate. 27 is close to what?
30.
30. What would 30 times 3 be? 90. So I want my answer to be somewhere around 90. You always should estimate before you start it. Helps your brain think. Helps you when you get done. See if your answer is reasonable. All right, let's call on Ashley. Ashley, what's 6 times 5? 30. 0, carry my 1, because I have 30 ones, which would equal 3/10 and 0 ones. 6 times 7 is?
42.
Plus 3 is? 45. I have 45 tens, which would equal 450. Okay, 3 times 2 is? 3 times 2 is? 6 plus 4 is? 10. How many numbers are behind the decimal point in my problem? Oh, wait, we haven't done the second part yet. Okay, we're done with my ones place. Now we're moving to my tens place. Since I'm in my tens place.
You skip
3, and you did 2 times 3 instead of 2 times 6.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. No wonder you were confused. So there should be a 4 here. 6 times 2 plus 4.
16.
Good. Sorry about that, what you was watching at home. And I'm hoping you showed your work on somewhere on this paper, because I couldn't do these in my head, so I'm assuming you couldn't do these in your head. So somewhere on your paper there should have been work shown. Okay, now we're done with our ones place. We're done with what we carried in our ones place. We're moving to our tens place, which means we have to put a 0 in our ones place because we're moving to our tens place. 3 times 5, Ashley? 15. So I have 5 tens. I have 15 tens. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 1 is 22. 2, carry my 2. 3 times 2 is
6.
plus 2, 8. Then we add our two products together. Our two products, the answer to multiplication problem. So the answer to 275 times 6 is 1,650. The answer to 275 times 30, is 8,250. We add those two products together. 0 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 10. Carry my 1. 1 plus 6 plus 2 is 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. Now I go back to look at my original problem. And I ask myself, Ashley, how many numbers are behind the decimal in the problem? 2. If there are 2 behind it in the problem, there must, and the rock means must, be 2 behind it in the answer. 99 and 0 hundredths. What's another way of saying 99 and 0 hundredths? 99. So if you just bubbled in front of your decimal point the 99, you're fine. If you bubbled in all zeros, you could. Behind it, you don't have to. All you're required to bubble in is the 9 in the ones place and the 9 in the tens place. But they have to go in the ones place and the tens place. They must. It's required. Unless you want to get it wrong, which then causes phone calls. We have 7 and 2 tenths times 43 and 8 tenths. Let's use our estimation first. Kayla, what would 7 times 40 be? What's 7 times 4? 28. So 7 times 40 is 280. Okay, if 7 times 4 is 28, 7 times 40 is 280. Yelling at you folks makes me hotter. All right, so again, just like last time, we're going to rewrite this, ignoring the decimal points. And because I'm me, I always like to put the greater factor on top. Makes it easier for me, because that's the way I roll. Joseph, sorry to wake you from your coloring. Joseph, 2 times 8 is? 16. 2 times 3 is?
6.
Plus 1?
7.
7. 2 times 4 is?
8.
8. We didn't carry anything. We're done with our ones place. We're done with what we carried for the ones place. 7 times 8 is? 56. Got to put my 0 there because I'm in the tens place. 6. Carry my 5. 7 times 3.
21.
Plus 5. 26. Here are the 2. 7 times 4 is.
28.
Plus 2 is.
30.
30. We add these two products together. Did I do everything right? All right, you're checking your paper where I wrote it. Because sometimes I make mistakes, obviously. Joseph, 6 plus 0 is?
6.
7 plus 6 is?
13.
13. 1 plus 8 plus 7. Or sorry, 1 plus 8 plus 6. 15. 1 plus 0. And 3, because we don't have anything to add to 3. Joseph, how many numbers behind the decimal point in my problem? 1, 2. So there needs to be 2 behind it in my answer. Kayla's estimate was 280. So we're in the ballpark of 280. We knew it had to be more than 280 because we rounded 43 down just to make our thinking easier. Which means you needed to have these 3 in front of your decimal point and these 2 behind your decimal point, bubbled in correctly. Because that's what you need to do to get it right. Oh, sweet! We don't even have to solve the next one. We don't even have to do any math. 4 2/10 times 100. When we do problems like this, Jocelyn, what do we do when we're multiplying by a power of 10? 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. What do we have to do? What did you get for your answer?
420.
Good. We have to move my decimal point 2 places to the right.
Oh, that's what you do.
1 place, 2 place. So my answer would be 420.
Hey, you got that one right too.
As long as you bubbled correctly, my decimal point's here. So all my bubbling needs to be 4 in the hundredths place, 2 in the tenths place, 0 in the ones place.
Wait, which one do you move to the left and which one do you move to the right?
If you're multiplying, you move your decimal point to the right. If you're dividing, I want my number to get smaller, so I move my decimal point to the left. When you're multiplying, your number gets bigger. When you're dividing, your number gets smaller. All right. 4,032 divided by 16. $4,032 divided by 16. 16 is my divisor. My dividend is 4,032. I had people come up to me and say,
I don't get how to do this. It makes me insane. I'm sorry.
well, as your wonderful math teacher this year has told you, if you don't get it, write down your multiples of your divisor. So I could do 16 times 1 equals 16. 16 times 2 equals 32. 16 times 3 equals 48. 16 times 4 equals 64. 16 times 5 equals 80. Is that right? I'm going to stop there for a moment. Yes?
For 16 times 3, you got 16. 16 equals 30 equals 48.
Okay. Did you know what I was meaning? Yes, Kayla? Sure. Learning math's not important, Kayla.
She has to go
Just go ahead and go. All right, so now, and what I would do if I struggle with division is I'd list these all out all the way to 9. That's what I would do. I'm just saying. So let's call on maybe. I've already called on Lainey. So on. Does 16 go into 4? No. I'm not going to have a number above the 4. Does 16 go into 40, Salon?
Yes.
So I can look here and tell me how many times 16 goes into 40.
Twice.
Twice. And 2 times 16, easy, up here is
32.
32. 40 subtract 32
Equals 8.
equals 8. Bring down my 3. 16 goes into 83. How many times, Salon?
Twice.
16 into 83.
Oh. 5 times.
5 times. And 5 times 16 is what, Salon?
Is 80.
Is 80. 83 subtract 80 is what?
30.
3. Bring down my next number. 16 goes into 32. How many times, Salon? Twice. 2 times 16 is?
32.
Where's your decimal point in the number 252, Salon? If it's not written, it is at the very back of the number. So that means it is right there. If it is not written, it is right there. Which means the 2 has to be in the ones place, directly in front of the decimal point. The 5 has to be in the tens place, directly in front of the ones place. The 2 has to be in the hundreds place, directly in front of the tens place. If you don't bubble it, you get it wrong, even if you do the division correctly. That means the bubbling is equally important. Oh, I gotta take attendance. Hate that.
I'll take attendance. I'll just say everybody's
Let's go $475.50 divided by 6. Is that right? $475.50 divided by 6. I'll stop it in a moment to take attendance. $475.50 divided by 6. Okay? 6 is my divisor. $475.50 is my dividend. I don't need to list my multiples of 6 because I'm in 5th grade, towards the end of the year, in the last 6 weeks of 5th grade, so I probably know my multiplications by 6. Addison, does 6 go into 4? No. Addison, does 6 go into 47? How many times? 7. 7 times 6 is? 42. Addison, 47, subtract 42 is? 5. Bring down my 5. Addison, 6 goes into 55, how many times? Say 9. 9. 9 times 6 is what, Addison? 54. 55 subtract 54 is what, Addison? 1. What do I do with my decimal point, Addison? It's so confusing. Good. Thank you, Addison. You move them straight up. When dividing, you take that decimal point and move it straight up. And if you think about it, $475 divided by 6, it's going to get into 2 digits. So that also makes sense. I'll bring down my 5/10. Addison, how many times does 6 go into 15? Once. Twice. 2 times 6 is what, Addison?
Oh, I didn't mean to say once.
I know you didn't mean to say once, that's why
Oh, okay.
I put what you meant to say.
Thank you.
2 times 6 is?
So,
12. 15 minus 12 is? 3. Bring down my 0. Addison, how many times does 6 go into 30? 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. Subtract 0. Let me ask you a question. Fred, is $47.50 divisible by 2? Yes, because it ends in a 0. Awesome. Is it divisible by 3? Yes, because if I add all my digits together, it's a multiple of 3. Also, if it's divisible by 6, that means it's divisible by 2 and 3. The 5 and the 0 behind your decimal point, the 2 and the 5 behind your decimal point, the 9 and the 7 in front of your decimal point. In the correct place value, or that's bad. You got it right, but you got to make sure you bubbled correctly. 312 and 8/10 divided by 10. Jocelyn,
Yes.
when I said we multiply and divide by a power of 10,
Yeah.
this time we're dividing by a power of 10.
Yes, and you move to the left.
I move my decimal point to the left, the same number of zeros there are. So I'm going to move it to the left one place. Now, I stated many times during the test that you couldn't have a remainder. Many times that you could not have a remainder. Also, we've learned our multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. 10, 100, 1,000. So that should make it easy. Didn't even really have to do any math. I had to be able to count to 1. And I needed to know my left from my right. Then I also had to know that dividing is going to make my number smaller. And when you bubbled, there was no place for a remainder. So, shouldn't have had a problem with that. I'm going to stop this now. We'll do the second part in a minute because I have to take attendance. Boom shakalaka. Thank you for watching.